Hello, hello. Welcome to today's session of Selling the Couch. Welcome to a new season, I guess. I don't know. But I took the last month off just to catch up on some podcast episodes to rest and relax. After our mastermind launch earlier in the year. And then we also, unfortunately, had two deaths in the family, including my maternal grandmother and my paternal grandmother's sister. And so it's been an incredibly hard start to 2025. I'm not going to lie, but that last month I think was just really well needed in terms of needing to rest and recalibrate. We are back with new sessions, and in specific, today's podcast is about this topic of why some offers sell like crazy while others flop. I am joined by my friend Prerna Malik from ContentBistro.com. Prerna and has worked with a number of big entrepreneurs, including Pat Flynn, who I consider a virtual mentor, a smart passive income, and has done a bunch of, she's a conversion copywriter, she's copy hackers certified, and all of these things. And the thing, Prerna and I connected on LinkedIn, and we've built a really nice connection. And one of the things that I loved about her content was that it just came from a place of integrity and wisdom, and also just the way that Prerna and um, her her husband Manik has been able to build their business. It's one built on like sustainability, but also like sustained pacing, sustained growth, all of these things that are really inspirational for me and that I feel like I'm constantly learning from. So in today's conversation, we're going to dive into, just broadly, like what is an offer. And I think and Prerna's answer, I think will surprise you because I totally thought it was something else. And then we're going to dive into the top 3 conversion secrets that make offers sell like crazy. And we go into really deep dive into these. And I think a lot of what Prerna shares, I think it's going to be very liberating for you, especially if you are, whether you are, in private practice, you're thinking about tweaking some of the current offerings that you have with regard to therapy, or you're moving more into thought leadership and you're thinking about how do I, share this and pitch this in a way that is full of integrity and also aligned with how I want to pitch it. I think you're going to really enjoy this conversation. So here's my conversation with Prerna Malik from ContentBistro.com. Hi, Prerna. Welcome to Selling the Couch.
So excited to be here, Melvin.
Oh my
I'm
gosh.
cannot wait to chat.
Same. First of all, I'm just so grateful for you. I'm grateful, even something like LinkedIn. I remember actually hearing about you, or I remember like, I don't know, like online stalking you like years ago after, because I like, you've worked with Pat Flynn, and
Yeah,
Pat, I would consider definitely like a, online mentor, and I love the way he
yeah.
operates. And I was like, oh, this is like really good copy. And so, uh, I remember like following you, but to be completely honest, like I was like a little intimidated. And I was like, she might be like she's way up there. I'm just like a little guy. So
Oh,
uh but it's wonderful. LinkedIn has connected us, and I really am just so grateful for you. And yeah, and looking forward to our conversation.
well, thank you so much. And I am so glad that LinkedIn, yes, connected us and that we've continued to kind of, really build this relationship and that you've discovered that I'm not intimidating. So I'm happy to hear that.
Yeah, the exact opposite. So we were talking just about like potential ideas for podcast episodes, and you shared this one, and I was like, oh, this would be so interesting. So the topic is why some offers basically sell like crazy and others flop. And I had a bunch of questions for you, and I thought where we could just start is when you say offer, and particularly related to like therapists who are the majority of the folks listening. What do you mean by that word?
Yeah. So an offer is more than what your digital product or your service is. So it's more than say, say you've got a membership or you've launched a course. It's more than what's in that core content. An offer is the complete package. How I think of an offer is that it includes the core, the core deliverable, but then it also includes specific elements, and we can get into that in just a minute, to help not just create desire, but also overcome objections, help your audience move forward faster, help them see results quicker or better. So all of these elements together create an offer.
Got it. It's so it's not just like what I'm hearing is it's the totality of the package versus like what we think of even when I th thought about the word offer, which is just like the product or the service that's being provided.
Yeah.
It's the complex. And you said there's some specific elements in there that usually create desire, roadblocks, all that. What are some of those like common elements?
Absolutely. So as I see it, when I work with clients and when I work on their offer optimization or even offer creation, we look at five key elements. So we want to look at, of course, the core offer, as in what is it? Is it a course? Is it a membership? Is it going to be a coaching package? Then we look at what's your unique mechanism, which basically would help answer the question, why will this work? For your audience, like, why will this work? Why is this going to be different from what I may have already tried? Or why will this work when, everything else hasn't? Or why will this work in contrast to, say, something else? So, what's your unique mechanism? That's the second element. The third is the trust builders. This is your authority, your expertise, your experience, the social proof. The fourth element are what I call the desire drivers. These are, what's the promise transformation? How can you support, help them achieve the results you're saying that they would achieve? What's possible for them? So all those go into the desire drivers. What are the different elements that can do that? And then, of course, we've got my favorite, the objection demolishers. So this includes risk reversal, any kind of bonuses that you may have, what kind of support you're offering. So the goal of these elements is to basically remove objection, something like payment plans, because they go, okay, how am I going to afford this? Well, we have payment plans, or, we have a self-study option that's like inexpensive. So these five elements make up the offer, as when I talk about an offer being optimized and an offer being successful, and it goes, so you see it goes beyond what's just the five modules and the six coaching calls that you may be getting.
Yeah, I mean, I love that you're mentioning this because I think about like even like a therapist in private practice, right? It's a lot of times the offer just might be like the specific niche they're serving. So they think of it like as the like the sales copy or just the landing page. But yeah, even little things like what would stop a potential client from seeing that page and then being like, oh, I want to work with this person, but here's the stuff that's going through my mind that's like stopping me. Um,
Exactly.
yeah, stuff that we don't, I think, normally always think about. And so I'm so glad that you brought those up. I wanted to dive kind of into the deeper meat of it. So you when we were talking, we were like, there's kind of what you've noticed is like, some conversion secrets that make an offer sell like
Mm.
crazy. And I was wondering if we could dive into a few of them, and really go in depth with them, if that's okay.
Absolutely. Yeah. So there are, of course, there are so many things that one can do to make an offer stronger. But for the sake of our, of simplicity and for, keeping our listeners' time in mind, I'd say let's just focus on like the top three things that you want to look at when you sit down today to look at, say, whatever offer you have that may not be selling the way it is, or that you would like to sell more of, right? So what I'd love for you to do is just open up that offer page, if it's a sales page or, wherever you have it on your website, and then go through it while listening to this episode. So you want to look at, does that offer lead with emotion, simplicity, and clarity? number one, and we'll kind of unpack this a bit as well. So your offer should be very clear and simple to understand. That does not mean it needs to be boring or you don't need to talk about, what's in it. You actually need to highlight the emotional cost of not buying that offer. Like what would, and without getting into fear mongering, without getting into guilt tripping, without getting into, what I hate the phrase, but poking you know, someone's pain. No, you've got to come from a place of empathy and listen. You're I know I'm talking to therapists here, and I know you're the most empathetic people. See, that's not a problem here, but we want to lead with emotion. We want to lead with what's in it for them is at the core of your offer, and it needs to be very clear and simple for them to understand. So, who is this offer for? What will it help them do? Why do they need it? How will they use it? Which is where, you also want to kind of talk about what's possible for them. And then why should they trust you? So what makes you you? Why do people, whether it's your experience, whether it's your expertise, whether it's your, the mechanism or the process you've developed. So that's number one. Look at your offer and see, is it leading with emotion, simplicity, and clarity? Number two, does it have specific messaging and positioning? That is really, really important. You want to speak to the hyper specific problem that your offer will be solving for this particular audience. And I'll give you an example. Not so long ago, I was looking for a program to help me work through some of my own personal stuff. I grew up, with a narcissist mom, so I wanted to kind of work on that. And when I was looking for a course or a community to join, what the one that I joined a couple of them, and the ones I joined spoke directly to how I was feeling, which, it was like as if they were in my head talking. It didn't say, "Oh, did you grow up with a narcissist mom?" No. It said, the offers, the pages would say things like, do you often feel that you're not good enough? Do you often find yourself stuck trying to meet everybody else's needs while overlooking your own? So hyper specific language, which made me go, okay, yeah, this is just, a very broad example, but when I'm giving this example, I want you to look at your own offers and see, do they speak to that really specific problem that your offer is solving? And then you talking about it in your messaging, in your positioning. So that is really important. And how do you get this messaging and positioning? Well, when you create an offer, whether it's whether it's the sessions you offer, or if you've got like a program or a course or even a book, chances are you're speaking to so many people, and all you need to do is who have that problem, right? So all you need to do is like use the words and use the same kind of messages that you're getting from them to help others like them with your offer. So that's number two. And the third is urgency. Most good offers, especially when it's in like, if you've got like a course or a membership, most good offers use urgency. The problem is that most entrepreneurs end up using one of two kinds of urgency, either time or money, right? But we overlook another very important kind of urgency, which is user-based urgency. Again, going back to my example, I really didn't care whether I was getting a discount or not. I also did not want to wait for a program to open when, like, say, 6 months down the line. I needed the problem solved now. I was willing to pay for it, and I was willing to pay someone who could get where I was, who was understanding of what I was trying to solve. So that is user-based urgency. And again, that is something you get to know once you are really clear on your audience, once you're really clear on the problem you're solving for them. So that's, really important. Urgency works with offers. It's a really powerful conversion secret. but you don't always have to discount, or you don't always have to have, a time-bound launch for, say, if you launch, especially in the digital world, if you're launching, um, a program or a membership or whatever, you have like a live launch. You don't always have to do that. You can have your program or your membership or your services open all year round, and you can still use urgency.
It's awesome. Man, so much good stuff in this. I'm gonna probably dive into a couple of things. So, um, one is I was thinking about like a phrasing you used where you were talking about like the example with the group that you were looking for with your mom, right? Like, I think a lot of times, and I fall into this, you know, I will use either like technical language or like psychobabble, thinking
Mm.
that's what people are also describing it as. But I think the nuance to that is, I think the question to ask is always, how is this manifesting for them? And what are the questions in their mind, or what are the struggles, right? They may not even use that term like narcissistic mother, but they may be like, you know, never good enough, right? Like always
Yeah.
feeling never good enough, right? And that's just a subtle thing, but I just love that you highlighted that.
Yeah, yeah, no, absolutely. What happens, I'm pretty sure it's called something like the curse of the expert, where because you're the expert, you are wanting to share your expertise in a way that would feel most authoritative, which is great. And there's a place for that. But when you are presenting your offer on a page or in an email to your audience, you want your messaging to reflect what they're thinking, what they're going through. So that's why I'm such a huge fan of, serving our audience, talking to them, getting on calls, listening to, what they have to say about what's going on with them, because that gives you such deep insight and helps you to create that hyper specific messaging that I was talking about.
Yeah. So yeah, so really well said. The other thing you said was lead with emotion. And I think thank you for like normalizing that therapists are probably naturally like very good at this. But I think one thing I've noticed, and again, I struggle with this, is I think we're naturally empathic people, but we like will see, some sort of perceived expert in the online space and they're saying like you should do it this way. And so then it creates this disconnect of like,
Mm.
oh, I feel like I could speak to somebody, but I'm being told to do it this way. And that kind of sounds like a little manipulative and sleazy, and it almost like goes away from intuitively how we feel. So I don't know. It was just like really nice for you to say that. And I think normalizing, if you're hearing it, hearing our conversation. uh
That,
the, yeah,
absolutely.
the other piece I was going to say was, so you said lead with emotion, lead with simplicity. And so what's the difference between simplicity and clarity?
Yeah. So clarity is making it easy for people to understand what it is that you're offering them. And simplicity is speaking in a way that they will understand, right? So what happens is, and this kind of goes back to what we were just talking about, is like, when you said the psychobabble thing, sometimes what happens is that we are so close to our offer, whether you're a therapist or, even if you're like a sales strategist and a copywriter like myself, if when I'm writing for myself, I sometimes need to remind myself that my client, the person I'm writing for, or wanting to kind of sell a particular offer to, may not know what all of this is. So I need to kind of simplify it. And you, again, goes back to using the words that we know our audience will connect with and relate to. So that's the simplicity part. The clarity is what happens is we tend to wrap our offers up in so much that it gets so confusing to figure out, is it, will I be getting coaching and a program? Is the coaching going to be with this particular person or with a team of coaches? There is just so much going on. So how can you really clearly, which is why I said you want to answer what is it exactly, who is it for, why will it help them, how will it do that, why should they trust you? It needs to be really, really clear for people to understand. The idea is not for you to have, pages and pages of copy, just kind of digging into everything. You need to have copy that talks to your audience, explains what your offer is, and helps them make a decision they feel good about. And you need to include information that helps them do that. So that, I know there's a side discussion on this about the length of copy and all of that for especially for sales pages. But what you need to think about is what would be the simplest, clearest way, but also the most meaningful way, which is where the emotion part comes in, for you to present your offer to your audience.
I love that. Just shifting a little bit, what do you think is the most common mistake that you see entrepreneurs make when it comes to offers that ultimately flop? I know that's probably a big question, but
Okay, so there are two here. One is where, and this is mainly for, I would say it's mainly happens when, again, we get caught in the curse of the expert, where we're selling the thing instead of what the thing can do for them. So we are selling what you can call the feature fallacy. We're selling the features. So we're selling the 6 call coaching package instead of, why would they even need 6 calls? What would it help them do? Again, going back to what I said at the beginning, like what's in it for them? So we need to look at what are the benefits of these particular features and help them see that. So features are good. They have their place. Again, like I said, your authority, your expertise, everything has its place in presenting that offer. But when you are putting your offer together and you say, okay, I am going to give them 6 calls because each call will focus on this, this, and this, which will help them do this. So, and you want to lead with what it would help them do, right? So let's say, hypothetically, I am going to be giving you 6 calls to help you develop stronger communication skills so you are more assertive in the workplace. Each call will focus on one pillar from my, workplace communication framework to help you do that. So instead of leading with you're going to get 6 calls, you lead with by the end of our time together, you will have more assertive workplace communication skills because we would have worked on every single pillar of my proven proprietary workplace communication framework. To help you do that, we will do this over a period of 6 calls.
I
So
love,
that's
yeah,
the difference.
yeah.
That is one thing. That is one mistake that people make where they lead with the features.
Mm.
The second, and I feel the bigger mistake is we limit the windows of selling our offer. So we create our offer and then we limit those windows when people can buy the offer. Something that I alluded to when I was talking about my own journey, when I was looking for courses, is most courses, most offers are available either as part of a live launch online or sometimes they're part of an evergreen funnel, and both are great. Like I work on these kind of launches and funnels all the time, and I love them, and they're great. But what we also need to understand is that not everyone is going to buy on your timeline. So you have to develop those sales systems to sell those offers at, so that when your customer's ready to buy, when your prospect's ready to buy, they have that offer ready for them. So and that's a conversation for another time where we can get into like sales systems to sell offers. But that's the other thing to keep in mind is when you're looking at an offer that may not be selling the way it is, you want to ask yourself, are you limiting the windows of sale for, interested prospects? And if so, what are some of the things you can do to, widen or add in extra sales windows?
Yeah, that's such a good question. I mean, right before we even started our conversation, we were talking about like my own mastermind launch, and we only launch twice a year because it's kind of a live program. But I think this question that you're asking is such a good one because, I mean, even, we have that free email course to validate a course idea. And I think we've just reached over 1,500 folks who signed up for that, right? So there's clearly, I think, interest, but I think this is it's a great question of how much alignment there has to be of like both our timing and like where someone's downloading it and going through it, and like that has to perfectly line up, and is that like the best way to like scale? um yeah, so it's definitely a question I'll have to think more about. um the I wanted to go back to the first one, the curse of the expert. So you said the thing versus what that thing can do for them, right? And I
Yeah.
think this is something, I've definitely seen on therapy websites, uh, like saying, okay, you might even speak to an ideal client, but for example, therapy feels so like amorphous that somebody that might even be interested in it, and they're like, I have no idea what we're going to do in therapy. You're telling me we may need 4 to 6 sessions, but like, what am I going to talk about? Or what are we going to, like, am I really going to feel that much better? And I love how you're talking about balancing that with, okay, what will actually happen in those sessions in language they can understand?
Yeah.
That's usually what they're looking for.
Exactly. Exactly. You're so right. And this is true for any kind of therapy. I've been in like so much therapy myself, and you're absolutely right. Like the first time when you're looking for a therapist, you don't even know what you're looking for, right?
Mhm.
But being able to see answers to questions that are in your head makes it so much easier for you to make a decision that you know will be helpful and will be good for you. And so whether that's marriage counseling, the goal isn't, again, the goal isn't, okay, you'll have like 6 sessions or, we'll do 6 solo and 6 couples. No, the goal is how can you have a healthier, happier, more fulfilling marriage where you're communicating with each other, where you're connecting with each other, where you're no longer living like roommates. That's the goal, right? Now, what can you say to help them see that? So
Mm,
that I feel is so important instead of leading with, okay, yeah, we'll meet virtually or we'll those are logistics. Those are the features. That's like maybe, and you can use them maybe to overcome objections. Oh, but I can't commute. That's all right. We have virtual sessions. But for them to even start considering you or thinking about working with you, they need to see what is it that working with you will help them do in their life. And in their life, they're not thinking about adding more calls to their calendar. In their life, they're thinking about how to be a happier spouse, a more supportive, maybe a more supportive partner, or how to, stand up to the bully at work, or be a more present parent in their life. That's what they're thinking about. And that is what you can help them do.
yeah. And then I think the other like little nuance of that is I think sometimes there can be such an emphasis on talking about pain and then shifting to like just the features where it's like the benefits, like moving that from pain to benefit and really accentuating that, I think is something I know that I struggle with, but as well. So Uh, Prerna, I had a final question for you, which is, what's a conversion mistake that most people don't see as a mistake that ultimately leads to a like product or an offer not doing well? So, yeah, mistake that most people don't see as a mistake.
A mistake that most people don't see as a mistake. Okay. I would say it is putting bonuses into a program or a package or an offer for the sake of it. Or, including bonuses that don't do a specific job. This is a big pet peeve of mine. And when I'm looking at optimizing an offer, that is definitely one of the first places I start. I'm like, okay, what job is this bonus doing here? What job, have you hired these bonuses for? Because every bonus, in fact, every element for that matter, Melvin, but let's just keep it a bonuses round. Every bonus has a job to do. There are like six possible jobs you can give to a bonus. So when you are including any additional elements in your program, don't just do it, or in your offer, don't just do it because, someone's told you to do it. Don't just do it because everyone else is doing it. Do it because it would be doing a job for you. Now, that job could be removing an objection. So it could be an objection demolisher. The job could be fast tracking success. So it could be the shortcut to the shortcut, because say that your offer is a shortcut. It could be like a course that fast tracks success, but your bonus is the shortcut to the shortcut, right? It could be it could be a pure value add, right? It could do the job of being the next step. So they've completed the course, or they've completed the, whatever your offer is supposed to do, but what's the next step? Maybe it helps them take that next step. Maybe it fills a gap. Or if you've got a more online offer like a course or membership, maybe it helps them get some cross skills, like, things like, let's say, for example, let's say your course, and I think I listened to this podcast episode, Melvin, for a guest of yours who has a membership for teens, like a Dungeon and
Hmm.
Dragons
Katie. Yeah.
membership.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. So I was like, okay, a great, maybe um, cross skill bonus could be bringing in a guest expert who is a parent who helps, maybe teens navigate screen time. So it's not, directly connected, but it's a parenting expert, or, who can speak to teens who may be kind of feeling like, okay, we've got like way too much screen time going on. That's just an example. So, but every bonus needs to fulfill a role, needs to have a purpose. Otherwise, you're just adding fluff, and fluff is a good look on clouds. It is not a great look on your offer.
That's a great quote that we should totally end with. I think that's so true. I think about like sales pages where I have seen bonuses, and sometimes I know that I have clicked off of sales pages because of the too many bonuses that it actually feels overwhelming. And I, in my mind, I'm like, there is no way I'm going to be able to get through all this. And I actually don't even see how this is like fully connected to the what I want to accomplish.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. I mean, I feel so strongly about this. I have like a whole, like, it's a huge blog post over on the Content Bistro blog, where I have like, I go into depth with, the different jobs a bonus can do, but also like tangible ideas for bonuses. But I mean, it is something that I see so often that I was like compelled to put a post about it, because now I can like kind of direct both prospects and clients to it and say, okay, use this to kind of audit your bonus stack when we're working on offer optimization.
Yeah. We'll definitely include a link to that in the show notes, or if you're watching this on YouTube, we'll include a link to Prerna's blog post mentioning that. Prerna, I am so thankful for you. I can't believe how fast this conversation went, but where can we learn more about you, the good work that you're doing? Where can we connect with you? All of those good things.
Oh, well, thank you so much. It is obviously something that I can talk about, a lot more. So I'm so glad, we got the chance to do this. And I would love to connect with your listeners over on LinkedIn. I'm Prerna Malik, or on Instagram and at Content Bistro. And if you'd like to see how you can increase the sales windows for your offers, you could go ahead and sign up. We have a free email course at contentbistro.com/5x.
Awesome. Prerna, thank you again for doing this, and have a great rest of your day. Thank you so much for taking the time to check out this video. Just wanted to take a moment to thank today's podcast sponsor, which is Alma. Alma helps you build a thriving private practice, but it's especially if you want to take insurance. And this actually might be a really good strategy, particularly during periods of either political or economic volatility like we are experiencing now. Even if you're a private pay practice, this might be something just to consider, adding one's insurance company that reimburses the best. And Alma takes care of getting you credentialed as well as doing all of the administrative paperwork so that you can just focus on doing the awesome work that you're doing in the world. But more than that, Alma is an entire private practice support system. So they have a bunch of stuff. And what I actually wanted to hone in on was Alma also includes CEUs as well as peer consultation and clinical interest groups. So isolation is something that a lot of clinicians in private practice navigate. And Alma has a wonderful support network to help you combat some of that. You can learn more about Alma over at sellingthecouch.com/Alma. And if you actually go through that link and mention Selling the Couch, you get 2 months absolutely free. I hope you enjoyed my conversation with Prerna, and especially if you are in a season where you've either struggled with copywriting on your website or in the content that you create online. I hope that today's conversation has just been incredibly liberating for you more than anything else. I was thinking about this conversation, and I think two things resonated for me. So one is the conversation we had at the tail end talking about bonuses, and that more bonuses does not necessarily mean more sales. And in fact, it can create overwhelm for people. And so thinking strategically about the bonuses that you offer in your programs, whether it's your course, your coaching program, or any of those kind of things. Or if you're doing like a retreat, like what are the bonuses that you could offer? The other thing that I was really resonated with is how good copywriting can it's not about like manipulating people, and actually it's the exact opposite. It's coming from a place of integrity and writing content that serves them, serves somebody that wants to potentially work with you, but also using it strategically so that you can use it to, for example, remove roadblocks or things that may be deterring them from signing up. Prerna created a bunch of content, and again, she mentioned that blog post about bonuses. We'll put that in the section here on our show notes if you're listening to the podcast on audio, and if you're listening to the video version on YouTube, we'll put it in the description section as well. But you can definitely check out ContentBistro.com. I've checked it out. It's a ton of like awesome blog posts if you really like this, and especially if you want to work with Prerna and her team. I think it's a wonderful, there's, options there to do that as well. That's something that I'm hoping to do in the future. I'm excited to do that as well. Have a great rest of your day, and I will talk to you soon. Bye.